Wonderful. So I'm just going to play a short, one of Daddy's favorite hymns while we fellowship. In ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. It dwells secure. Sufficient is thine arm alone, and our defense is sure. Before the hills in order stood, or earth received her frame, from everlasting thou art God, to endless years the same. A thousand ages in thy sight are like an evening gone, short as the watch that ends the night before the rising sun. Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. Be thou our guide while life shall last, and our eternal hope. Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast. Bobo, over to you.
Okay. Hi, this is Bobo here. I'm the eldest son of Mr. C. Joseph. Just wanted to welcome everybody and thank you for coming for this event. Also wanted to, on behalf of our family, we wanted to thank many of you who were visiting Daddy and Amma over the years in Chennai. So that's really much appreciated. You were keeping in touch, and it was quite important for them. And Johnny and family moved to Chennai in 2012, so about 9 years ago. But before that, Daddy and Amma were on their own, and that was especially appreciated when several of you kept in touch, visited them, and they had some accidents in 2009. Daddy was involved in a traffic accident while out on his walk, and some of the relatives were very helpful at that time because none of the children were based in Chennai at that time. Also, I wanted to thank Pastor Johnson, who's not here. Unfortunately, he was supposed to speak, but he is down with COVID. So just praying that he recovers soon. He was the pastor who conducted the funeral for Dad, and in fact, you might have heard that pastor was on an annual visit when Daddy passed away. So it was actually during pastor's visit. Um, so so the event should be about 60-70 minutes. So please, according to your schedule, please stay there for 60-70 minutes. So it should be over about, well, I won't say the time because all of us are in different time zones. I'll just say a brief bio, which you might be familiar, but anyways. So Daddy was born on 19 May of 1924. So he would have been 100 years old in another 2 years. The early part of his life was spent in Nagpur. His father was based in Nagpur, and he went for engineering studies to Benares and was there in the engineering college from 42 to 47. And he started on his career in 47, the year of India's independence, with the electricity board. He was there 35 years in that career. That was his main career. Retired in 82 and then moved to Chennai at that point. And then he was there in Chennai, based in Chennai for the rest of his life. So 39 years or so he was in Chennai. And Amma passed away in March of 18. So after that, Daddy was in quite good health, but his memory had gone, which was in a sense merciful. And as you know, Jesus received him on December 4. He passed away December 4. And we are looking back, we are very grateful for the long and gracious life he had. And so I'll conclude there, and we'll move on with the next point in the program. So thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Bobo. And we're going to have a slideshow. So please can have a look at that. It's a slideshow showing Daddy's life right from childhood to the entire journey. So we're going to share it in a few minutes. Cheriyan?
Changing scenes of life, in trouble and in joy, the praises of my God shall still my heart and tongue employ. O magnify the Lord with me, exalt his name, when in distress to him I call, he to my rescue came. The host of God encamp around the dwellings of the just, deliverance he affords to whom his self controls. O trial of His love, experience will decide how blessed they are, and only they who in His truth confide. Believe, be saved, and you will then have nothing else to fear. Make you His service your delight. He'll make your wants His care. To Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, the God whom we adore, be glory as it was, is now, and shall be evermore.
So that was compiled by the help of Joanna, Maria, and Jacob and me. We were working on all these slides for the past few days. And thanks to Daddy meticulously, keeping all these photos. And you'd have seen some comments on written down on them as well. So it's amazing that we can have all these records. So now we have some sharing time. So over to Jacob now. And after that is Lenny Kochama. So over to you, Jacob.
Yes, so I'm Jacob. I'm the second son, and I've been here in Michigan, in the US since '83. So in Michigan for the last 35 years. So Sheba is on another channel here, but we're here in Michigan. Daddy retired in '82, and that's the year I started working. He retired in May of '82. I started working June of '82, and then came to the States in '83. But Daddy's prime time of his career, looking back, I mean, Bob would trace the dates there, but the prime time of his career was like mid '70s. He was like the general manager. He was chief engineer for the MP Electricity Board, and he ended his career as the board member generation side. So a distinguished career. Of course, I'll share some memories from growing up. So the '60s, '70s period, what it was like to just grow up and at that time. So some memories I treasure. Daddy used to come home from work, and in the evenings he would take walks. So we were in several places, Amarkantak, Chachai, power station areas, and it was clear skies over there, so we could go out, see the stars. And I remember walking with Daddy. He would point out some of the constellations, and so that's some of the memories I have from childhood. Another memory I have is from Korba. He was Daddy worked on the generation side of the power plant, and it used to be very loud in the power plants, and sometimes they'd bring their work back. He'd be on the phone, but he would speak very loudly on the phone, and it was very interesting. So I could stand in the middle of the road. We were living in a colony, and he's talking to a neighbor across the street, and both of them are talking so loudly that right in the middle of the street, I can hear the entire conversation. So Daddy's hearing kind of suffered a loss because of all that loud noise, and like for those who have known him, and like through this later period in time, his hearing has been steadily going down. But he loved to chat with people. When he came back, when he retired, he would stay in touch with colleagues from MPAB, talk on the phone, and this is I think he early, this is 80s, 90s, that period. And so he would enjoy that. Over the last decade or so, his hearing has suffered more. And so that's been a challenge, of course. Some other things I remember about just Daddy growing up is he was very meticulous. So he would he'd actually be the one who would arrange, like when I had to get my citizenship over here, we had to look for a birth certificate, and Daddy was retired by then, but he would get all the paperwork, the right paperwork done, trace that out in Madhya Pradesh. I was born in Madhya Pradesh, so we had to go back there, look through records. But Daddy was very diligent in those matters. Daddy Amma kept a regular prayer life. So when we were growing up, they would pray together. I do remember, like Daddy would read from a prayer book. Amma had she was subscribing to the I think it was a daily walk. There's the Daily Bread. There was a series that read a meditation from there, and then pray. And like one of the memories I have is from like Daddy reading, like, were there not 10 clans, but where are the 9? And so he had this. He would just read out. I think Amma was the more kind of the prayer warrior over there, but Daddy would read this out faithfully. Right? Daddy kept I mentioned he was meticulous. There is a family tree that he ended up maintaining. I think Kerala tradition is very verbal. I had difficulty following things verbally, so I would ask Daddy to write it down, write me what this connections, relations mean. And especially, I think Daddy's father's side, there were 11 siblings, so number of cousins from there. And so Daddy helped create this family diagram on a chart for me. And then I think that's grown over the years and been a blessing to us. I'd like to just end by sharing that like Daddy's gone through these challenges in life. In Madhya Pradesh, it was a distinguished career. Every 3-4 years, we would transfer to a different city. So I grew up in Jabalpur, Korba, Amarkantak, Chachai, and they built friends, relationships from that adventure. And we would certainly love to hear from people, so relatives, family, friends. Please reach out to Johnny, Bobo, myself. We would love to hear your recollections of Daddy. So with that, let me end here. Thanks for attending.
Thank you, Jacob. And next, I'd like to request Lenny Kochama, who's Daddy's cousin, to say a few words.
Okay, this is Lenny, and my first memories of Cheriyan was when he got married to Grace Kochma and stopped off in Secunderabad on their way to Jabalpur or Madhya Pradesh. Let me put it that way, Madhya Pradesh. But that was my very first memory. The ones after that were, I didn't see him all the time. He was in Madhya Pradesh. And then he came to Madras, and Singapore Airlines is the airline that we chose to fly to India. They flew to Madras. And you have to remember that in those olden days, flights came in at 9 o'clock in the night. And by the time we cleared customs, it would be about 11 o'clock. But Cheriyan was always there to meet us. And I think there was a taxi service close by the house. So he would have that taxi come and meet us. And similarly, he would send us off when we left. And Madras was the midpoint between Hyderabad and Kerala. My husband is from Kerala. And I lived in Secunderabad with my parents. So those were the memories that I have. He and Gracie Kochma were extremely hospitable. So those memories are very precious to me. And the last time I saw them both was in 2015. We just made a trip to Madras to meet Cheriyan and Gracie Kochma. And we have yet another cousin over there. Her name is Rechi Kochma. Rachel, for want of a better word, and she lived not too far from where Cheriyan lived. And she came to visit too. And at that time, we realized that Cheriyan's hearing was fading. But still, too, he participated in the conversation. I mean, he would grasp what we were saying. I don't know if he was very good at lip reading, but he and my husband had a very good conversation. And after that, unfortunately, I never came back to Madras. That was the last time I came specifically to meet all my cousins. And one of the times when I was there, Cheriyan showed me all these little scraps of, they were literally little scraps of paper that probably he wrote for Jacob and his brothers on the relationships in the family. So he had this desire to create a family chart. So that trip, he gave me little scraps of paper with various things in it. I mean, I didn't know, I didn't meet all my uncles, but I did know how many there were and where they were. So I created a chart, and I have to believe that it was in the early 2000s because it had to be, because my daughter-in-law's name is in there. And then so the version I found was 2002, I think. So, but I was able to decipher everything that he wrote. And yesterday, while I was looking at it, I actually found a letter of Cheriyan written in his hand, the one that was typed. So if you are interested, Bobo and Jacob and Johnny, I will have my husband scan that and send it to you if you will send me your emails. But with that, I just can't think of anything. I remember Jacob's dad, Cheriyan's father. Jacob asked me if I remembered his grandfather. I saw him once. And your father, actually, the picture that you have for this memorial service, he looks exactly like his dad did at the time I saw him. And my favorite memory of him is he gave us Cadbury chocolates. So that is my memory of him. So with that, I'll conclude. And I thank you for having this memorial service. The first one that you had for his funeral was in the middle of the night in Arizona, where I live now. And I was unable to join that one, but Cherry sent me another version that is recorded, I'm assuming, because that is the one we watched here. So with that, I'll conclude. Thank you for asking me to speak.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leni Kochama. And we're going to have a recording of another cousin. We went and recorded this a few days back. That is Rechi Auntie's, sharing. So Joanna is going to just share the video now. And after that, if Sam is here, Sam, please be ready for the next sharing. I'm not able to make out, so please be ready. So Rechi Kochama is again Dad's first cousin, and she just stays a few blocks away. We wanted her to be here today, but then there's a big increase in COVID, so we thought it's best that not to disturb her. And we will show her the recording of this entire event later. So right now, let's have the video of Rechi Auntie sharing.
I remember him in 1954, 55, when his dad had passed away in Velo, and he was passing through. That was my, I must have seen him earlier, but this is the early memory of him. Then I remember, I told you, in 1963, I remember Sunday 30th of June also, and they'd come, he and Gracie, and two little boys, Bobo and Jacob, and then we were out in the garden, and then Bobo took generous as ever, took a toffee out of his pocket and gave it to me. The parents had brought up those children very well, disciplined and all the rest of it. That was his early memory. Then just before I left, that was 1968, I told you my mother and I were just going out to some little shop, and we saw them coming along. Annie Kochima and her husband and Cheriyan. After that, that's only when I went to Delhi. He tracked me down wherever I was. He was very family-minded. One day, I was sharing an apartment with a friend of mine. I was on the first floor, and the bell rang. When he peeped out, he said, Cheriyan. I blinked a bit, and he said, Gracie and Cheriyan. And then he came up, and I said, where's Gracie? I said, he's just identifying himself, who he was. So that was very pleasant. I mean, gentlemen always. And after that, they came, Annie Kochima and Bobby and Cheriyan, and in Delhi they came to the old house where I was staying, but I moved out, and I was in the US at that time, holiday. And then, as I said, he always tracked me down, found out where I was, and he's the one who kept track of all relatives. Because I met 50 relatives after coming here because of him. Like that Babu from Chenganur. I hadn't seen him since he was 5 years old or something. Then I met him over here because he kept in touch with all the cousins. And some other cousin, Jebu, that is his second cousin of ours, kept in touch with him also. That was very good. So he's very family oriented and brought all the cousins together. Then after that trip, I didn't see him in Delhi till 1980 or thereabouts. Suddenly he was standing at the staff room door. So then I went out and took him home. I was staying in the quarters there. Afterwards, one of my colleagues told me, your cousin, his hair looked as though it was painted on his head. Silvery hair sort of slicked down. And after that, because he's the electricity board, whenever he came, he made it a point of keeping in touch with us. And then once the two of you came, and you also, as a small boy, then I think they'd gone to, people went to Agra at that stage. And I had gone for a YWCA meeting because I was on the board of management. I came there. Then there were peacocks at the far end because our college ground sloped up to the ridge. And Johnny got very excited. He was running out to look at the peacocks. That was another memory of him. After that, which in 1980. So then when he came, he would come by. I remember one New Year's Day also he happened to be in town and he came and visited us. And then he said, you must come to Jabalpur. So then we went to Jabalpur that November or something. I took some leave from college and we went to Marble Rocks, isn't that what it's called? Yeah, so that was both of them so hospitable. And after that, 1980s, when did I see him next? Then it's only in 82, 83 that he retired and came to Madras. I was still in Delhi then. But then, yeah, the first time we stayed with him, my mother had gone to Colombo. And coming back, we stopped over at his place for 2 days or something. And I remember Bobo helping me with the suitcase and all the rest of it. I told you, your father brought up the sons very well. And that was another memory, 84. After that, 88, we were passing through. We saw him on way to Colombo and back, once to Kerala and back. And then he come to the station to see us off. And even when my niece Amba, she would be passing through from Colombo to listen, they would welcome her and give her food. That's why when your mother died, she came for the funeral. She flew down immediately. She'd have come for Cheriyan definitely, but with all there was no flights, nothing of the sort. So as I said at your mother's memorial meeting, they were my support system in Madras. I mean, they were there 5-10 houses away, but now both of them have gone away. That's very sad, but then he lived a good life, so nothing to complain about. But,
So that was Rechi auntie. Do keep her in your prayers as well. She is also 78 and delicate in health. And at this time, what we're going to do is we're going to have another set of slides and a song. So this particular set of slides is basically with friends and relatives. So so let's have a look at that slide. After that, we have planned for some more sharing. Yeah, so let's start with the slide. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, vast, unmeasured, boundless, free, rolling as a mighty ocean in its fullness over me. Underneath me, all around me, is the current of thy love, leading onward, leading homeward to thy glorious rest above. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, spread his praise from shore to shore. How he loveth, ever loveth, changeth never, nevermore. How he watches o'er his loved ones, died to call them all his own. How for them he intercedeth, watcheth o'er them from the throne. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, love of Mary's of the best. 'Tis an ocean full of blessing, 'tis a haven giving rest. Oh, the deep, deep love of Jesus, 'tis a heaven of hands to me, and it lifts me up to glory, for it lifts me up to thee.
So a lot of photos of and the bed in the hall is like the photo studio couch. So many of you may have been there in that place, and it's still there. So do come over for the next photo session. And anyway, so over now to our relative from my that is from my dad's mother's side. We have Roy, who's in the US, and Roy is going to share about memories. His parents, Swani Kochama and Mamachan, they are also there in the call, and they are in Kerala. Mamachan is 90 years old, and Swani Kochama is around 83. And they used to also stay in Kanpur, where Bobo and Jacob were studying. So they used to visit them. So a lot of memories there. So over to Roy, who's going to share some of those memories.
Hi, everybody. So I just had a few thoughts written up and between me, my sister, and my brother. So here it goes. Our childhood memories were highlighted by few memorable vacations during the Sera trips to Jabalpur, visiting Cheriyan and family where he worked for the electricity board. Me and my family were in Kanpur, as John Chen said. Our train journeys from Kanpur to Jabalpur were also interesting. Hopping on from local trains where we as kids witnessed the steam engines improved to diesel locomotives by early 80s. In 1980 or 81 was our last trip to Jabalpur, after which both our families moved to Madras, now in Chennai. We moved to Kerala in 84, but would often visit Cheriyan and family when visiting Chennai. The first few hours of our conversation with Cheriyan during our visit would be filled with questions about his aunts, uncles, and their kids. Coming out of the connection Cheriyan gained during his vacations to Niranam, Kadappara in Kerala, where his mom, we all call Ga, was originally from. Me, my elder brother Joji, and eldest sister Minnie still remember and cherish the days we spent at Jabalpur and Chetpet with Cheriyan and family. Every visit to Cheriyan and Gracie Kachma's house was a source of inspiration. In Jabalpur, it was several days, while in Chennai, several quality hours as part of family meetups. I'm quoting from them. Cheriyan was a caring person. He was caring towards everybody, most unassuming, soft-spoken. Humility and simplicity were his greatness. My sister's observation, he was very patient with Ga when she was ailing and aging. My brother Joji remembers this. When we were in Jabalpur, it was Roy, me, who gave him his morning tea, saying in the, you might have heard about the, being in the Indian Railways, chai, chai, I would always say that. And then Cheriyan will say, ha, chai wala aa gaya, and he would take the cup from me and drink his morning tea. And this went on during the Dasera vacation. But while in this day and age where photographs and memories are plentiful, we kids had our first lesson in documentation from Cheriyan. After our visits, along with the great conversation, food and refreshments, of course, Gracie Kochuma served, we all waited for the family photo moments. Before we took leave, Cheriyan would take pictures of our families and meticulously write dates and the events and mail the copies to our homes via post. We as kids would look forward to those pictures and add it to our collection of photographs. And Cheriyan had a hobby of projecting his collection of pictures. Kids growing up, family vacation. Today it has become a screensaver for many of us, which some of us keep it. However, first time I watched a projection of a collection of Cheriyan's photograph was on our trip in 80s to Jabalpur. Cheriyan would take a set of negatives, which I learned after that he would make specifically for creating slides for projection. In this particular set of slides projected after one of our dinners during a weekend in Jabalpur, Cheriyan also had pictures of our first boat trip on the Narmada River. This was a small half-day trip Cheriyan had organized for us during our first stay in Jabalpur. It was a well-planned family outing, very first of its kind, and I was 7 years old then. To me, it was a small, seeing clear water, seeing the oarsmen row the boat with a lot of force upstream, well, small fishes flying up, creating, all kinds of good, it was all a lot of good visuals that I still remember. Mainly I remember because of those, of the projection that I later saw, because 7-year-old, how much will I remember? So, well, I mean, and I, I had written that I was in my red pair of favorite nylon shorts and shirt, and I was admiring the nature's beauty and having moongfalis actually at that time, which was a easy snack. Anyway, Cheriyan was taking pictures at that time, and Johnny Chan and Joji Chan, my elder brother, were enjoying the moments on the boat, and as all of us were, I guess. That was our first family outing on my side. Now, when I plan a trip with friends and family, I'm sure my first family outing which Cheriyan organized becomes a frame of reference. As we grew up, Cheriyan no doubt inspired us in several different ways. Most importantly, we all feel he inspired us to be a very good human being by being a role model to people who he connected and touched with in a very natural way. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. That really brings a lot of memories. And I remember every time whenever the relatives would come, we would have a trip to Bedaghat, the Marble Rocks, and and I also remember the time when you were there. I think you remember playing some cricket in front of the house. so, so great memories, yes. And Dad definitely was very good at creating those memories and recording them. So thank you, Roy. And next we have some relatives from my mom's side. So we have a couple of my cousins. So we have Ali. So Ali, over to you next.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Joni. And yeah, this is Ali. I'm Gracie Gochama's oldest sister's youngest son. So if you can follow that, I'll draw the picture for you, Bobo and Jacob. But you guys know. I live in Atlanta. Been here many years, but you really got to know Cheriyan and spent a lot of time with him. When I moved, I was about 25 years old. I moved to Madras, I moved to Chennai. I started working in TVS, and he had just retired. So he must have been 58, 59. And he had moved to Ananagar. And so I used to go to party on an everyday basis, go work there. And on the way back from work, I'd stop in the Gracie Kochma and Cheriyan's house and just sit there and we'd chat. And it's funny to see the pictures because, the picture of him sitting there in that chair, I'd sit in the chair next to him. And we'd be chatting for hours and hours and hours before I head home. He was very curious. He'd always be interested in what are you doing and what's going on. And I talk about the technology work that I'm doing in TVS. And he'd relate it a little bit to the work that he'd do in the electricity board and the stuff that he was doing, which is obviously much bigger scale and so on. But I was very, very curious about it. So it's a lot of really good fond memories of just chatting with him and spending that time with him. Since then, every time when we moved, we'd come back, we'd stop in Chennai to see them and make it a point to spend some time with him. It was always good to. We spent many days on that couch there with lots of photographs and fond memories there. The last time, I think he also came to the U.S. Gracie Kochma and he were here, and we were in New Jersey at the time, and we spent the whole day. We went out to see the Statue of Liberty, and he was just in his usual curious way, just very interested in everything that was going on. So he really made a great impression on me. He was always someone that I could sense a real sense of decency, the lack of ego. He was very humble someone else had mentioned that, very humble, quiet sense of humor. So he was, there was always a nice smile that he had, and this curiosity. There was a really good sense of curiosity and really, really fond memories. So thank you Johnny, for letting me speak and share my memories.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. And we also value the time you left your dog with us for a week.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up because it was a tough time because his mom was staying with you, and his mom was not well, and we were traveling to the U.S. and we left our dog with our dog, which was not. We kind of imposed ourselves by leaving our dog with.
Yeah, well, it was a wonderful time. It's a memory for me, and we named our dog after your dog. So our dog is Nico. You'll see him in the slides in the last slides as well. Thank you, Ali. And we have another cousin here who was also in Chennai, and so over to Anup next.
Thank you. My name is Anup Kuruvilla, and my father was Gracie Kochma's elder brother. His name was Kurulachan P.J. Kuruvilla. It is indeed an honor for me to be given this privilege to speak at this memorial service for Cheriyan, and thank you, Johnny, for asking me to do so. I got to know Cheriyan only after he had retired from Korba and when he came to live in Ananagar. Before that, I would often meet Gracie Kochma and the boys, Bobo, Jacob, and Johnny, often in Kerala, often in either in Maraman or in Achachin and Chelma Kochma's house in Tiruvalla. I guess I didn't see Cheriyan much in those days. I guess he was busy with his work and he didn't come to Kerala so often. My memory of him is that he is one of the kindest and most gentlest souls I have ever met. Always so soft-spoken and with a mischievous glint in his eyes. I know contradicts what I just heard from Bobo, or was it Jacob, about him shouting on the phone. But besides shouting on the phone, I don't think he ever knew how to raise his voice. And he was so very learned. I used to enjoy speaking with him as I was consistently amazed by the depth of his general knowledge, whether it was politics or science or history or sports. Every time Susan and I would visit Gracie Kochma and Cheriyan when we would come from Hong Kong or Indonesia or Singapore, wherever we lived, he would have done some research work and he would ask me some very pertinent questions about those countries, which not only would I not know the answer, but I would not even have thought about. I'll give you a few stray examples. When I would come back from China, he would say, how did the name China come about? Now, whoever has ever thought about how the name China has come about? And then he had done research on this, and he would say it came from the Qin dynasty. Or another question, what do the Chinese call China? Because the China is an English name, right? And then I wouldn't have that obvious answer. He had done the research and he would say it was Zhonghuo, which is what you speak, say it is in Mandarin, or Cathay, as it is spoken in some other Chinese dialect. But he had full of these googlies he would be throwing at you, which were very entertaining. I used to enjoy his stories about Russia. I think, and Bobo can verify this, I think there was, when he was working with MPACB, there was some Russian equipment which had come to the Korbas plant. And so they used to send him to Russia for training. And his stories about communist Russia in those days were phenomenal. I mean, both the positives, the big statues you used to see, plus all the downsides, both sides of it. But as a young boy who knew nothing about Russia, it was always a revelation speaking to him. The most admirable quality, however, about Cheriyan is that he had reached nirvana very early in life. He was completely content. He had no interest in any frills. He had no issue in jumping into a bus and going off to see Gunai Kochma or whoever in Adyar, which is miles away, or wherever. And I once remember asking him, why don't you go and buy a car or a scooter or something? And he looked at me so quizzically and asked, whatever for? I mean, he even thought it was the most stupid question I'd ever asked him. He has never spoken ill about anybody and always had a positive attitude to any situation. And I must also commend Johnny and Yvonne for having looked after him so well in his latter years. The last time I met him, which was maybe about 2 years ago before COVID started, I've not been to Chennai for some time. And you could see his skin, it was glowing. I mean, that shows how well looked after he was. I can go on and on, but I think I will stop now. But I just want to say that on behalf of my brothers, Amrit, Anand, and myself, I would like to thank Bobo, Jacob, and Johnny for giving me this opportunity to say these few words for this wonderful uncle of ours. I will conclude by saying, farewell, Cheriyan. You are one of a kind. they don't make models like you anymore. And we learned so much about humility and kindness by just observing you. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Anup. And definitely, I also remember, having a discussion with Dad about the car, and whether we should get a car. So, very often people retire and, in the garage, they would like to have a car. And we discussed and said, what are we going to do with the car in the garage? You're going to not going to use it much. And fortunately, we had this travel agency next to our house, and we felt that that was enough to take care of our needs. So, Dad and Mom never had a car, but they, once, they would be very particular about even taking care of people. So once they went back to Kerala to track down one of their servants, whom they had put into employment in Madhya Pradesh. So this person, they went to his house, and he had a nice bungalow, and he had retired, and they said he has a car in front of the house. We all had a good laugh about that. So, and anyway, it's amazing that, Dad and Mom would, care for people and even the servants, and they would make sure that everybody is taken care of. So thank you for reminding of those memories, Anup. And we go next to grandson, that is Joel, Bobo's son Joel, to share a few words from London.
Hi. Thanks so much for sharing and gathering and sharing these memories. It's really lovely to hear some of these memories. So just sharing some of my memories of Apacha. I think a lot of people have mentioned his very meticulous nature, and he was so. I remember every time we visited, it struck me as so remarkable how his habits were, and how steadfast he was in keeping those habits. And you would see him every time. If you see the photos, he's always has his white shirt and his specs in his breast pocket. And no matter where he's going, or if he's not going anywhere, he'll get dressed with his shirt tucked in and ready for the day. He's always kind of has these habits, and he always has his tea, and then goes for a walk. And those habits it was remarkable to just see him like that, and to feel kind of connected to almost a different time through him. And I remember going on walks with him, and during the evenings we would go on these walks, and no matter what, he would always go for his walk. And even after he had an accident, he would talk about the two-wheelers that would start zooming by in Chennai. And even after his accident, he would still go tapping with his cane and go for walks. And during those walks, he would tell me of stories, and he would say, like Anup uncle had mentioned, these facts that he had so much memory of things that occurred. And he'd say, today is the day that Gandhi first started his salt march in India. And then he'd start telling about how his stories from his childhood, and he had this phrase he would say always, in those days, and that always made me feel like I was kind of being transported back to those days of his youth, or his younger days. And it was just through him I felt such a connection to other people in the family, and other things. And during the later years, we started working on, or he was keeping a family tree, and we started making that into a digital version, so that it was easier to update. And he would send me these notes of so-and-so has gotten married, so-and-so has had a child, and I would type them in through the computer. And I remember thinking, it's so great that he has these habits, and he's keeping in touch with everyone. And I remember I always thought that these habits were things from his youth, that they can't be changed. Tea time is tea time, walk time is walk time. But we got him a computer later on to keep in touch via email. And he had me write down step by step how to access the email to click and log in. And he would write it down in his diary. And then I thought, oh, he'll check this when somebody's told him they've sent him some message. But no, every morning he comes in, he reads the diary about how to log into the computer, and he'll check the email. And nobody even, I don't think, had that email address yet. So nobody was sending emails, but those habits would be formed. And he was just always like, preparing and ready for correspondence with people. Yeah, and I remember one time when he came to visit us in Canada, going for his walks. He would come back and he would start telling us about the neighbors that we haven't met yet. Abacha on his walks would have met them, and in his friendly way would have made friends with them and become great pals just through those walks. And yeah, I think those are some of my very fond memories of Abacha. He was someone who really he meant a lot to me, and yeah, he helped me, like I mentioned, like be connected with the family and be connected to, I think, a sense of where I came from and who the people who influenced me, and what those stories and those kind of tales are. And I'll just share a verse from the Bible that really reminded me of Abacha and some of the stories people have been sharing. With all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. And I think, yeah, it just reminded me of Abacha and the ways, his patience, humility, his kindness with all of us. And yeah, I think those are my memories of Abacha.
Yeah, thank you, Joel. And it also reminds me that one of the things that Dad would always love to know is, like you said, check the email and also the mailbox. So he would, regularly walk to the mailbox and check every day any mails have come, any letters have come. And so at this time, me and my wife Yvonne are going to share a few things that we observed as well. So we made a small one pager. Let me just share the slide, and we will share as we go along with it. 1 second. All right, it's all up there. Okay, so so we have just put down a few things that we wanted to share, and as you can see, one of the things is he really cherished relationships. So as you can see that he would take so much of effort to like, for example, creating the family tree, or and visiting people on their weddings. Like a lot of his cousins said, oh, he was there at our wedding, and we did check the photos, and and I was just thinking, like, going to all these visiting people actually meant that he has to go to the railway station, he has to stand in the line, and he has to book the tickets. There was no online booking in those days. So it was all the trips were a lot of small efforts that were there, and he was probably taken a bus and gone to the railway station, booked the tickets, and then gone on that journey. But Dad and Mom, I think, really cherished relationships, and that was most important to them. I think even for example, after retirement, he had a opportunity to work as a consultant, and there was an opportunity to work in Libya, and perhaps get some additional opportunity to make some more money and all that. But he decided to stay back, and I was wondering why. But later I realized I was in important years of my schooling, and my grandmother was here, bedridden, and Mom was there taking care of her. And it would and his presence here was actually very important. So I think in all his decisions, we can see that relationships were very important. And next, my wife is going to share about the next point.
Yeah, it's about how he journaled his life. Here's a small journal of his life. So there's a suitcase full of it, small little diaries where anytime a relative came or family friend came, it would go into a book. So nothing was left unnoted or not journals. So I would just like to read from this, just the first page. It's about the 27th of July 1997. Okay, these are about four things that he noted, 4 days that he has noted. On the 27th, he's saying, Thomas Kuttichayan and Eliama take the Kurvillas, including Anup and family,
And us.
and us, to their Inchambakam beach house for a day's outing, a good time. So, some of us would have not even remembered, when we went to
So Anup, in case you want to remember, the date is noted here.
Yeah. Then on the 1st of August, 97, George Phillips' son-in-law, Abby, and children leave for Saudi Arabia after annual leave. Then on the 2nd of August, 97, Bobo leaves Waterloo for conferences at Germany and Hungary. And then on the 3rd of August, 97, Johnny and Yvonne leave Bombay for Delhi.
So, all these, there are detailed records. Even we have forgotten what we were doing, but everything is out here, So, what we did on whatever dates, and, when they visited us, who were, working in the house, what was going on, all those details are there.
And this is just the first page. Yeah. Okay, you can get the entire, I think.
Yeah. So it's like detail. It's not just points, but details written. So there are many diaries like that to go through. So do have a look if you come over here again. All right. So next thing is about being organized and disciplined. So again, this is an example. Everything is meticulously noted. Accounts are meticulously kept. And again, like Joel said, he was very particular about, being disciplined for his daily walks, and that was an absolutely, a great example in being organized. And we have, meticulous notes on the photographs and the albums. Even the albums are year-wise, So because of that, it was easy for us actually to make some of these slideshows, which we could do today. And again, I don't know how, like Anup and Joel mentioned, how he did the research, because there was no Google at that time. So how he came up with those questions and information is still a mystery. But it's amazing to see that, he had to have a lot of interest in noting down things and information. So then next we go to the next point, which is about, Yvonne will share.
Yeah, he served family and community. Even the people who, served him, people like the servants, he was able to give towards them as well. If you have heard of Srinivas, one of the servants' son, who was actually, they helped that boy to come up in his life, and he was educated, and Amma and Daddy, they both were fully involved in making sure this boy did well, right from his early years till he grew up, and today he has got a good job and he's well settled in his life. We give a lot of credit to what Amma and Daddy did. And that boy used to be very young and very frail when he was young, and whether it was feeding him or whether it was making sure his studies were taken care of on a daily basis, all this Amma and Daddy were very, very careful about, and even making sure all his fees were paid on time, and whatever his family needed, and he needed. Yeah, there was a sponsor who took care of everything, but they made sure all the things were supplied. So that's how he served his family. He served his community. And even till now there are people who come during Christmas, during New Year. They always come and they remember that daddy and amma will always serve and always give towards them. So we're really grateful for his example in that.
Yeah, and there were many other, all the servants. In fact, many of them. There's a person who's working for us for the last 40 years. He was a guy who was a painter when this house was constructed, and dad and mom had a great relationship with him. Mentoring him and always like being concerned about his children and his family. And he's still there, and he's a great help to us as well. So then the next thing we'd like to share about is that, he is an engineer who brought light because, he worked in the electricity board, and in the electricity board, he retired as his title was member generation. So it was something to do with generating electricity. But on the other side, in the family and relatives, he was really caring about all the generations. And we can see, like Joel mentioned, about all this family tree, and it is really extensive. I mean, it's like mind-boggling. I mean, it's very difficult for me to understand, how many, relatives are there and who's where and all these things. I mean, I suppose it's difficult for anybody. But, then we frequently go to that charts and, go to that and find out, okay, this is where, how we are related to so-and-so. And, one of our family friends here, dad had two friends with whom he used to go for walks every day. And his son Johnny Matthew is still here, and and one day he said, what's the difference between dogs and humans? Dogs don't care about their relatives, but as humans, at least we are people who are able to care for our relatives, And I think dad really was outstanding and amazing in doing that. And so not only was he a great engineer, but a great person in maintaining relationships among the relatives. And the next thing, so we are going to see Joseph. So P for Yvonne is going to share.
He was patient in his pain. We all go through pain, but when daddy went through any pain, we didn't realize there was pain in his body. He had bed sores, towards the end of his journey. But there were people who were coming and serving him and giving him a bath and all that. But I don't know, they never noticed it, or he never made it noticeable that he did not express his pain in any way. So there were a lot of bed sores towards his final days, but we never saw any pain on his face or in his expression. Even when the doctor used to come to visit him, he would always smile and be thankful towards the doctor. So I mean, he had a special grace, a special sense of bliss in him that we can't even imagine, what I don't know. I was sharing with Priya that you come to a point where you are in this world but not of this world. That's what he had come to. He was in this world but he was not of this world. So pain didn't matter to him, and there was no suffering that he was going through, even though there was all things that we could notice, but to him it was just nothing. So we just learned so much from that.
Yeah, and lastly, he was very hospitable along with my mom, and I'm sure many relatives. I mean, I get surprised to hear, oh, they also stayed here, and so Chennai was like a transit point, and many of the children of the cousins would pass by, stay over, or some of them did the education and stayed over, and in this very room where we are right now speaking from. So dad and mom were both wonderful in hospitality, and all the time just thinking about relatives, and every day morning praying for everybody. And another incident I wanted to share about is about dad's honesty and integrity. And people in the workplace would also respect him for that. And Even non-Christian friends would say about him that they see the image of God in him, and that's a comment from a non-Christian a friend of his. And these people would all make visit to Chennai to look him up, not just once but many times, and as often as they could in their travels. And there was one particular funny incident I wanted to share about. Is there was a time when I was very young and in Jabalpur, and dad and mom had gone out somewhere, and I was at home, I think alone, perhaps with some servants or something like that. And somebody rang the bell, and a couple of his, maybe, I don't know who, but a couple of guys came, and they came with 2 bottles of liquor. So they wanted to give that to dad. So I was there to receive it, and I took it and kept it inside. And I was like finding it really funny, because to me at that time liquor was watching these Hindi movies and Keshto Mukherjee after having liquor and being tipsy, and I was finding it really funny. But then after some time dad came, and I went and told dad, what, that 2 guys came and gave some liquor bottles out here. So and that was actually the first time such bottles are there in the house. So then dad called these guys back and gave them the liquor bottles back and sent them off. So there was all kinds of people trying perhaps all kinds of favors because of his position at work, but he was known to be a person of integrity. So we are very grateful for the example and the life that he led, and so many things perhaps we didn't appreciate earlier, but later we realized how valuable these things are. And these are the most important aspects of life, which he was amazingly figured out, and he did those things in a very simple and natural manner. So at this time we as we come towards the end, we are going to have another slideshow, and this is towards the last years, the last years here in Chennai. So we have a slideshow on that. So we'll just put that up.
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts me, help of the helpless soul abide with me. I need thy presence every passing hour. What but thy grace can foil the tempter's power? Who like thyself, my guide and stay can be? Through cloud and sunshine, oh, abide with me. Hold thou thy cross before my closing eyes. Shine through the gloom and point me to the skies. As morning breaks and earth's light shines. need thy presence every passing hour. What but thy grace can foil the tempter's power? Who like thyself, my guide and stay can be? Through cloud and sunshine, oh, abide with me. Hold thou thy cross before my closing eyes. Shine through the gloom and point me to the skies. Heaven's morning breaks and earth's rain shadows flee.
So thank you everyone, and we are very grateful that all of you could be with us and we could relive these memories of Daddy. And I just also want to thank everyone for praying over these last few years. There were different health challenges, and for just keeping us all in your prayers. We thank you for your concern and just being there to inquire and support you all these years. And we are of course very grateful to God for the wonderful grace and wonderful life that Dad could have. And when we look back, there are so many things happened after his retirement. We all got married after retirement. This house was made after retirement. He was there for all the grandchildren's birth, and even he could be there through all these years. And I think we have nothing to complain about for the wonderful life that we could have with him. And as the scripture says, we look forward to meeting him again on the other side someday. And we hope that we can all continue to remember and practice the good things that he taught us, and continue to value the values that he valued. So thank you once again everyone for participating and being here with us today. And we are going to kind of formally close this session with a prayer. After that, we can continue for a few more minutes informally. If anybody else would like to add a few things, please feel free to do that. But as in case somebody is in a hurry, you're most welcome to proceed with your others important things in life. So I'll just close out with a small prayer. Let's pray. Father, we just thank you so much for Daddy's life. Thank you for all the relatives and friends over here. And thank you for even this technology through which we are all able to connect and even be able to record this for future generations. And thank you so much for just the ways in which we could hear today about so many good qualities that Dad had. And we pray that we can all value that, we can remember that, and we can be able to cherish as well as practice those values in our own lives, Father. Thank you so much for Dad's care and concern for everyone that kept us all united and together and cared for. We pray that be with each one of us over here in this call and all the other relatives as well. And even in this challenging times of COVID, we pray that everybody can be safe and well, and we can all complete our journeys in life in a great way as well, Father. Thank you so much for this time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you, everyone. And we could have some time of fellowship, or anybody else wants to say a few words. Yes, Ashok, are you trying to raise your hands to say something? Please do that.
I do see, I think I see Sam Martin over there, so maybe you should give him a chance.
Okay. Is Sam there?
But go ahead with, if Ashok is sharing, let's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ashok, please go ahead, and Sam, if you're there, please go ahead as well after Ashok. Yes, Ashok, over to you.
Oh, I didn't want to say anything. I was just,
Okay.
I said that what a lovely sort of program you put together. It brings a lot of memories when I knew both of them so well. And I'm sure they're looking down on us and smiling. That's as much as I can say. Anyway.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashok. And you definitely, these. I mean, if Dad had passed away a few years ago, we would not have been able to do this. So now that again everybody is Zoom literate and we are all connected, and not only this, I believe that this recording is for the future generations as well. So we're very glad that we could all be there doing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jacob, was Sam uncle there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was on mute. First of all, I apologize, Jacob. I didn't get your email till I got up this morning.
Okay.
So I just saw it, and I'm sorry to join late. But as I told Jacob, we all cherish Uncle's memories. He's such a kind, humble gentleman. And I'm trying to recollect the last time I saw him. I think it had to be 1995 or something like that. But it was a long time ago. And I at least used to try to talk to him whenever I came to India. But the last few years, because of his hearing, I couldn't even do that. But may his soul rest in peace. And thank you very much for putting together this. And most importantly, I think, John, you are the one who put that Excel spreadsheet together, right? For the family tree.
No, I think that was more of Joel and Jacob who were all working on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. By the way, that is so valuable. I hope you all will keep that up and try to get all of these kids connected to the next generation, because we are about to get dispersed as a family. So anyway, thank you for putting together. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. And I did send you, Jacob, I sent you the picture that from Annie Auntie's wedding. Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
So thanks.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, and I think Lenny Kochuma had a little bit of part in putting together, in converting that PowerPoint, the write-ups to digit to PowerPoint. I think she started it.
Yeah, that's very good. All of you are doing that is so very valuable. I hope our children will figure it all out one day. So.
Thanks for sharing, Sam.
Thank you.
Jacob, I wanted to tell you, of all the grandchildren my grandparents had, only 14 of us in your father's generation still survive.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Thank you, John, for putting this together.
Most welcome. Yeah, it was wonderful, to connect, and glad we could take some time and do this. So thanks to Maria. Maria is actually traveling to Peru to be in some medical camp out there. But she, so it was a lot of teamwork from, sending photos from here, they putting it on the PPTs and putting the songs, and, and some of the songs were sung by, on the slides were sung by Hannah and Maria. So thank you everyone for the collective efforts and for creating this memorable opportunity.
Yeah, I think the second song was done by Anna Maria, sang that song. So they both sing in choir, so they sang that song. One other just memory here. Daddy last came to the States in 2002. So most of the grandchildren have, well, other than Joel, right? Joel and Hannah. Well, Joel especially, I think, would remember more of Daddy from having visited Madras more regularly, and so that's why I had Joel share over here. I think by the time for the younger grandchildren, I think Daddy's hearing was starting to go down, and so he had a harder time conversing with people, with the younger generations there. But I think Joel, thanks for sharing your memories.
Jacob, if I may request that if you can perhaps request all the children to give a little bit of introduction about themselves, because aside from Joel and of course Johnny's children, I don't know much about what Hannah and all the others are doing. So why don't you request all your children and Bobo's children and to give a brief introduction about themselves, if they're on. I think I saw Hannah over here.
Yeah. Go ahead, Hannah. You can share something.
Sure. Hi. I just want to thank everyone for everything you all shared about Apachan. It's just a wonderful memorial to him. I'm Hannah. I'm Jacob's eldest daughter. I am I live in Michigan still. I'm in Ann Arbor. I'm studying in the MD PhD program here, and so just going through medical school right now. I'm married. My husband is Benjamin Abraham. That's why my last name is different now. He is working this morning, so he couldn't be here, but he's working in the hospital right now. And I'll give a quick introduction to Maria too, since she can't be on the call at the moment because she's on a flight. But Maria is currently a freshman at Harvard University. She's hoping to study computer science, and she's also maybe interested in medicine, and so that's why she's going to Peru for a medical service project there. Dan, are you on the call? Maybe you couldn't introduce yourself.
Oh, Dan, yeah. And just very quickly on Hannah, thanks for sharing. But so Hannah was married in 2019, and I've contacted several, and I think I tried to contact all the family members, and but Daddy was actually very interested in attending Ben and Hannah's wedding here. So he was actually quite excited. He got so he had certain things he connected very well, and he knew the times and places, and so he was ready to pack and come and attend the wedding. Of course, he was not physically able to do that. Right? This is too old to be able to travel that long a distance. But he had that alertness to be there. Right? Yeah. But go ahead. Yeah. Is Bobo's son Dan there? Maybe Dan, you could say a few things.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm Daniel. I'm Bobo's younger son. Yeah, so right now I'm studying engineering like Dad. Is the video on then? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm studying engineering like Dad and Apacha before me. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. And Joel, would you like to share what you're doing?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so I'm calling from London right now. I've just recently moved here, working a consulting job, and was working before in solar energy, so doing kind of engineering work there.
And where is Dan studying?
I'm studying at the University of Waterloo, so the same place my dad's working.
Oh, that's not really exciting, having your dad in the same college. Anyway, good.
We are in different units. It's completely separate.
Hey, and Joel, which consulting firm are you in? I saw you just started.
Yes, yeah, I just started at LEK.
Okay, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Johnny, why don't you ask your children to all speak?
Mike, okay, Joanna is here. So Joanna, over to you.
Hi, I'm Joanna, Johnny's eldest daughter, and I'm currently working in an ad agency called Hogarth Worldwide. I've just last month completed a year at this company, and what else? Yeah, I'm currently working from home since since COVID is around, and yeah, it's been good, learning a lot of things.
Yeah. Thank you, Joanna. And Andrew, Susanna, they were here and they're just, okay, right, they're here in a minute. So, Andrew, you can sit. Yes, sit here. Sit here, sit.
It's okay. They are asking you what is it.
So Andrew is just recovering from his vaccination. So he had his COVID vaccination at school, and there he is. So Andrew, you want to say what you're doing?
Oh,
Just say what you're doing. Tell your
I'm in 12th now, 12th standard school.
What subject?
I've taken commerce and entrepreneurship for my schooling.
Yeah, so that's Andrew, and so he's like, Anup probably also did commerce, right? So he's a little bit on your path. All right. So, and Susanna is around. She's probably join us later. And anybody else wants to share anything?
I have one question for Jacob. When Cheriyan first came to America, his greatest desire was to get on a Greyhound bus and travel across the country. I think from Annie Kochma on down, we all tried to convince him that that was not a very smart thing to do. So did he ever get on a Greyhound bus?
No, that's interesting. I don't think so. I have. So I at least fulfilled that ambition for him. I enjoyed it. I know somehow Greyhound is looked down upon. It's not like a favored type vehicle over here. But yeah, but I did. I remember his, and I did. Actually, I remember going from Iowa to Houston in on Greyhound. I think if my memory is right, but I did travel on Greyhound.
See, we have only one grandson, and he's in the University of Illinois right now, just started the freshman year. He used to miss home and miss the friends that he had at home. So every 2 weeks, he'd get on a Greyhound bus and go home from Illinois to St. Louis. So he's the only one in our family who's ever gotten onto a Greyhound bus. So,
We've used it. There's several buses here. Like the Mega Bus is a nice bus system we've used between Detroit and Chicago. That's a nice bus system. Greyhound somehow has lost a reputation, right? I think it used to have a better reputation.
I don't know, but it was the very first time he came that he wanted to do this, was get on a Greyhound bus and travel across the country. I think all of us kind of discouraged him from doing it. So I don't know if ever he did it.
Yeah, I think one of his colleagues years ago, did come to the States in the younger days, and he traveled across the country on Greyhound. I believe that particular colleague walked all the way down to he went to the Grand Canyon, walked all the way down and up the same day. So he was a very fit person. But he remembered taking the Greyhound there. That colleague, they stayed in touch with Daddy quite a while. So even through retirement, they stayed in touch.
Thank you, Jacob, for including me in this one. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and also talking about the buses, and Anup was talking about Daddy and Mommy taking the bus and going to Tiruvanmayur. So Sunita is here. Sunita, would you like to share some memories of what you remember?
Oh yeah, I just have only fond memories of them. They were so special to us, Gracie Kochman and Cheriyan. They've helped me and Susie and Rebecca so much. It's just wonderful memories of them. Yeah, I hope to connect with Joel sometime soon. I know he's in London. I'll try and give him a call. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Sunita, and thank you, everyone. And also want to thank Mr. Glaston Jonathan from the church. They were there regularly visiting Daddy and praying for Daddy here and Mummy and reaching out to them. So unfortunately, one of the other elders as well as a pastor, both were affected by COVID. In fact, many of people we know are currently affected with COVID. Hopefully it's all mild, but there's a lot of it going around in Chennai. So do keep us in prayers, and we also pray that all of you are all safe also in your respective places. Maybe we will close out another last few minutes. Anybody else anything to say, please feel free to speak up. Shirley, any thoughts?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Shelly, go ahead.
I'm Shirley, Shiva's elder sister. So it is, thank you, Johnny and Jacob and Bobo for putting up this lovely memorial service. And my earliest memories of uncle and auntie are from 1992. That's the year Shiva got married to Jacob. And I was in Chennai from 92 to 94. So I and the kids were frequent visitors to their home. And always it has been like they would be, uncle would be standing in the porch with a wide smile and welcoming us. And auntie would prepare something very special because she knew that Reuben, my elder son, was very fond of chicken, and some dessert, some special dessert she will prepare for him. And during that time, my parents were also, they had to leave to US to be with Shiva and Jacob. So literally, uncle and auntie were sort of it was a second home for me. And I have a lot of memories of both of them. And like everybody said, one outstanding feature he had is he was so meticulous and so disciplined that I'm just seeing those photographs. He's, like everybody said, whenever we visited, he used to take photographs and promptly get, because nowadays we have smartphones and it's so easy. That time he had to get the roll developed, and he used to mark each photograph with his date, with his hand, in his handwriting, and put the event there. And recently, I think last year, I was going through those albums, and it brought back all the so wonderful memories of the time spent with them. And also, I think it was Anup who said, somebody said he was very curious. That is one thing I also have always noticed. I used to have a lot of discussions with him. He could discuss on any topic under the sun. It was really like he is so knowledgeable about everything. And he was curious about what other things, like when I used to come back from, when we used to come back from Saudi Arabia and visit them, he would want to know so much details about how the life is there, how is it working in Saudi Arabia. And like, it was amazing, the enthusiasm, the interest he showed in each and every one of us. He made all of us feel so special. And I want to end with saying that he was such a wonderful, caring person. And I'm so happy to have been connected with him and have known him. And thank you all for including me in this memorial service.
Thank you for sharing, Shelley. And in fact, the house that you all were staying in, I think that was called Bougainvillea, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I have somebody we know as a family there, and the building has just been renovated and painted, and it's looking nice. So it was amazing how you all were staying so close by, and how I think I used to come with the twins. I remember you coming with the pram and coming over. So that was a great memories as well.
It was one of our very good. We had very good times together. My father and uncle were really good friends, and I mean, mommy and auntie also. So both the families, I think both the elder couples, they have spent a lot of quality time together. And they, in fact, all four of them have gone to Israel together. Yes. And they had a trip to Israel, and I think they really thoroughly enjoyed themselves. And due to, mommy is saying something. No, just say something.
We remember that Israel trip via Mumbai. So we were there in Mumbai at that time. So it was great to see that they could have all these desires of their hearts were all fulfilled.
The last time I saw him was in 2019, when Shiva had come over for Hannah's wedding preparations.
Right.
And at that time his memory was not good, but the moment I entered the room, he recognized me immediately and his face lit up with a wide smile. And he said, "Hello, Shirley, how are you?" I mean, it was so amazing because everybody said he's not recognizing anybody. But he recognized me, and he is asking about everybody as usual. Like, how are the kids? How's my husband? How's everybody? So it's really, he was an amazing person. He was a very loving, caring person.
Yeah.
An
Thank you.
honor to know him.
Yeah, thank you, Shirley. And anybody else like to say a few words? Please, I think Ajit, good to see you there from Hyderabad. Any thoughts from you, Ajit?
Yeah, Johnny. Unfortunately, I couldn't join earlier. I lost most of the earlier talk.
Okay, we'll send you a recording.
Yeah, please. We also have very fond memories of Cheriyan. He's such a gentle and soft-spoken person. And whenever we used to visit Chennai, I remember him always inquiring about the children. And he used to talk about Nizam, and he had a good idea about Hyderabad. I don't know how. He, about the various, of course, of the Hyderabad. He used to talk about the tank bund and the rivers there and the electricity connection, all those things. He was a great guy. And whenever we think about Korba, always it is Cheriyan, And I used to enjoy listening to his broken Malayalam, of course, Jacob and Bobo also. So it was such a pleasure having known him and associated with him, and we all miss him a lot.
Thank you, Ajit. Yeah, definitely. A lot of great memories. So thank you everyone. Anybody else wants to add the last few words? So we definitely felt there were a lot of things to share, a lot of memories, and perhaps maybe dad's birthday again. We're probably going to have a session within the family. So we had some other slides made, but we couldn't put that up because of the lack of time. So thank you everyone once again, and do drop by and let's keep in touch. So let's have a wish you all a wonderful year ahead. And as we are at the beginning of 2022, we pray that it goes well for everyone. And so bye-bye.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Johnny, for putting it together.
Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Bye, Johnny. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for attending.
Thank you.